Alright. Got the voice, got the script. What else? Ah, the intro. Hang on a minute. Here we go. Hello and welcome to Fandom Fantasia. As you can see, the old regular voice has been replaced with the new sexy text-to-speech voice. The old voice was sentenced to death for being too shit. To celebrate this more serious episode, we will talk about, well, I don't know. Nobody really made any suggestions, so I suppose for today's episode, we'll talk about original characters. When you're stuck in a bland crowd, you'd probably want to make yourself stand out, create yourself an identity online. Perhaps if you're a fan of something, you'll want to create your identity based around your favorite show, book or film. When you've created your character, you might find that when you show your character to everyone, there's a chance they would berate you and tell you to go burn in hell. You'll quickly find out from this that original characters don't have the best reputation, mainly due to lazy recolors, ridiculous bragging and shown off by their creators, and for lack of a better word, retarded characterization. Some people who create original characters can be a bit too proud of their creation and would not take kindly to criticism. They also tend to make their characters too overpowered with ridiculous powers and abilities pulled out of their ass. And when two people pit their characters together, oh, the fun begins. Have you ever watched two kids play cops and robbers until one kid says bang, I got you, and the other kid turns around and says no you didn't? They would then get into a fight, pulling several Deus Ex Machinas and never simply admitting defeat. That's pretty much what an OC fight usually ends in, two people making excuses in an effort to protect their character instead of standing down. But not all original characters suffer this fate. Some gain more respect because their creators made sure that the characters were interesting, realistic, and avoiding the many cliches that most OCs have. Our first example of a good OC would be the zebra called Ice Pack, created by the Weaver, who sorta breaks one cliche by being a male prostitute. He makes up for that by being very interesting. He reminds me of one person from the film Horrible Bosses, which was meh. It was a scene where the main guys hired what they thought was an assassin due to his hat saying he does wet work, only to find he's basically a guy who gets paid to piss on people. Despite that, he acts extremely professional despite having a job that's basically pissing on people. He acts like he is an expert and that he does it many times. Making a job like that seems as proud as being a highly paid manager in a high-class firm. Although both jobs do involve taking the piss at some point. I get a familiar impression like that with Ice Pack, just without the piss. He acts like a professional, makes it clear with how he talks to his client that he knows his job well, and giving the impression that there is nothing wrong about this, so long as urine doesn't get involved at some point. Another example would be Psycho, who, to be honest, is only well known because his creator, Psyguy, is well known online, having created Fireball20xl.com with many webcomics like GG Guys, Sure to Be Banned, Boxer Hockey, Hardcore, Eye Patch Dan. And of course, there is the podcast Watch Out, It's Like a Kick in the Nuts. Though I suppose the main reason is that when it comes to bad OCs, it's a main export for the Sonic fandom. No offense, and Psyguy's character would be one of the few gems in a sea of shite, or to put it in another way, a diamond-encrusted gold dirt on a mountain of excrement. Again, no offense. So I suppose you're wondering, how would one make a decent fan character? The best way to make a well-received fan character would be to avoid the biggest mistakes made by others. Number 1. Make your character interesting with quirks that the audience could relate to. This is pretty important since it doesn't matter how cool you think your character is, others may have an entirely different opinion. It's not easy to make a character that most people would like. Giving your character quirks, problems, or certain flaws that most people can relate to, can certainly improve the general opinion on your character. Otherwise, revise and rethink, until you have a decent characterization. Number 2. Do not be offended by criticism. Learn from it. You may receive some comments that would generally be sent from a troll. Don't react to it. You may also hear some criticism about your character. Don't react to that as well. Take it into consideration. It's not easy to create a perfect character. People have opinions and are free to share them. It's wise to listen to them and think about it when examining your character. It's possible that one person's suggestions could very well be the thing that can improve your character, so don't resist them, listen to them, take notes and look over them to see if they are indeed correct. Number 3. Never give your character a considerably high society status. Kings, queens, princesses, princes, anything that's considered a high society standing in the world of a film, show or game is best ignored when making your character, because it's a quick way to gain a lot of hate. This is mainly because it's considered somewhat egotistical by most people, since it's basically placing a character in an important role. It's not a wise thing to do, since it's garnered a lot of hate. An example could be seen in My Little Pony, Friendship is Magic, where an alicorn is a pony with wings and a horn. Only Princess Celestia, Luna, and Miss Faust are the known alicorns, as well as that one background pony. Since that's the case, making your character an alicorn is considered a very bad move, because it's basically placing your character on a godlike tier. It may sound ridiculous, but if you want to avoid a flaming spit roast delivered by some haters, then it's best you play along. Number 4. Keep your character's relationship with main or side characters at acquaintance. Another way to invite the angry fan mob would be to have your character be friends or in love with a main or side character, again because it's considered egotistical by many other fans. Like for example, your character is in love with Twilight Sparkle or Fluttershy. Yes, Storm and Epic Mound, I'm fucking calling you both out on this. That's not to say you can't let your character interact with them at all. A simple conversation, a purchase at a venue. So long as your character interacts with them in a small way, most people will not react to it badly. Keep your character's relationship with main or side characters at acquaintances, and you can get away with some things. Having your character get into a one-night stand sort of thing is risky, but it's really your decision. Number 5. Never give your character impossible or overpowered powers or abilities. Another thing that's considered egotistical is if you give your character powers or abilities that give them an unfair advantage. You'll need to balance this, mainly by giving them a weakness, an Achilles heel that creates a balance. This is important if you do give them abilities, because it creates a fair chance for other people's characters. You may want to make your character strong, but that doesn't mean you should make them a freaking god. Rethink, revise, look over your character until you give them powers and weaknesses that create a fair balance. And finally, number 6. Research other people's character names to see what's already been used too much. When you're trying to think of a name for your character, it would be rather difficult to think up an original name nowadays. Try researching other OCs to get a better understanding on what's already been done to death. Hopefully these tips helped give you a better understanding on what to avoid when you're making your character. They won't help make a perfect character. People will have negative opinions due to the poor reputation of OC. They will help you avoid problems that you would have gotten if you had just simply put in what you like. Good luck and thanks for watching.
そうな気がして消滅したはず